Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the State Champs Michigan Poolside podcast. This is the podcast for the high school swim fan. Now, during the winter, we talk the boys season, and that season is almost near its end. My name is Lorne. I'm the executive producer of the State Champs Sports Network. Joining me for the ride for both the girls season and the boys season, David Zulkiewski. Dave's a coach at Bloomfield Hills High School, also the webmaster for the Michigan Interscholastic Swim Coaches Association. David, how are you today?
Doing good. Busy week here and getting ready for state meet. So excited to sit down and talk some swimming and diving here before we wrap up the season.
That's right. So we record, before the weekend, and the shows air on Wednesday. So by the time that all of you are either watching or listening to this, we are just a few days away from cranking it up across the state and all three divisions. So normally we have a coach join us each week, but this week just David and I, again, as we prepare for the MHSAA Lower Peninsula Boys Swim State Championships. David has prepared to give his thoughts on competition from all three divisions. So stay tuned. All of that is coming up. But first, Poolside is presented by Lawrence Technological University. LTU offers over 24 varsity sports. Athletic and academic scholarships are available. Recruit yourself at ltuathletics.com. Poolside, also brought to you by the Michigan High School Athletic Association. The MHSAA is in dire need of officials. We talked about that last week with Andy Osters, and she emphasized that point. If you have any interest at all of looking into becoming an official, just simply go to MHSAA.com, click on the link that says officials. They'll tell you how easy it can be. The Michigan Army National Guard is the official military outlet of the MHSAA, so we ask you to please support the companies that support state champs. You don't have to necessarily enlist, but you could support our other brands that are involved. And let's get into it. Let's because we got some other sponsor stuff, but I'll get to that later. Let's get into Division I, David. Let's talk about the Division I state championship meet that will be coming up in Holland, Michigan.
Yeah, I think right from the get-go this season, Pioneers, been on the top of everybody's list. Certainly our MISCA list has had them up top all year, and a few teams have risen up. But I think when it comes down to it here at the end of the weekend, next weekend, Pioneers looking really good to claim that D1 state championship. For the fans out there that have been watching all the conference meet results, and if you haven't, go check it out. The SEC meet was incredible. Saline, Pioneer, even Skyline, they're a D2 team, but some very, very fast swimming. And I think we don't really have a ranking right now going into states, but I think Saline really jumped up with those league meet performances, some pretty quick swims. So, Pioneer and Northville right now are 1-2 in both the freestyle event, relays. And we talked to Rich Bennett a couple weeks ago. They seem to have a really strong group of freestylers, and you're seeing that now. I think they've got some options on those relays. And that's going to be critical for a team like Pioneer if they want to dominate that meet, and for a team like Northville or Saline, they're going to have to put together the right combination of relays. And I think right now in the freestyle relays, Northville's looking good to contend with Pioneer, which is great. That medley, I think things are going to be not open, but I think you're going to see a few more teams shuffling around there just because you got to find that right combination of those four strokes and get the right group of guys together, to start that meet off. So, yeah, in the relays, Pioneer's looking strong, but watch out for Northville in the two freestyle relays for sure. A couple of the swimmers, we've been watching all season. Ryan Hume is a senior on a Pioneer. And we're saying that they're a strong team. They're really dominant. But this is a kid, defending state champ in the 2 IM. I got a few of his facts here, but right now he has the fastest time in the 200 free, the 500 free, and the 200 IM. So at the time of the recording here, coaches are finishing up their entries. They're due the Monday of state meet, and this kid's got some options, and that's a great problem to have. I think a lot of teams, hey, if somebody's in one or two races, great, they're going to be in one or two. Somebody like Ryan, he's going to be there to, one, go after the goals that he has personally, but then to give his team the best chance to win. So watch out for him.
Can he swim in all three of those at the state meet?
No.
Okay.
No, so National Federation rules.
Okay. Thank
You
you.
can swim in 4 events at a meet, but no more than 2 of those can be individual.
Got
So,
it.
somebody like Ryan and some of these other, young men that we're going to talk about today, they'll swim their 2 best events. And I
Right.
think it's actually probably a good little sidebar conversation. I just had a conversation last night with an Oakland County coach. They're looking at maybe swimming a young man in 1 individual in 3 relays, because that's a unique combination there where
Yeah.
that's going to really benefit the team. Maybe push the team up into a top 5 finish, or
Right.
I'm not going to give away which team it is. I don't want to
No,
ruin
but yeah.
don't want to ruin their strategies. But
Right. But that makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah, when you've got a dominant athlete like Ryan, or some of these other guys, they'll go after their 2 best events. But if I have an athlete that's maybe, 15th, 16th, or maybe back in the 20s in an individual event,
Right.
if that athlete can give me and the team a big boost in a relay, I'd probably put them in 3 relays if I could. And I was just talking to a coach last night about this. So a lot of, strategy going on right now. So that's, it's going to be interesting for them. But yeah, Pioneer, definitely got their options. Another young man that I think is going to have a really great meet. His brother just did a phenomenal job swimming for Alabama at
Oh,
their
wow.
conference meet a couple weeks ago. It's Kevin Moss out of
Yeah.
West Ottawa. Talking to his high school coach, a little bit, and hearing how Kevin's brother's doing at Alabama. Kevin's is a senior, defending state champ in the 50 free, but he's got top 5 times in the 50 free and the 100 breaststroke. It's going to be interesting to see, where he goes there with those 2 events. He's got some options on some relays, so
Yeah.
it should be pretty interesting to see. So
It's interesting.
pretty excited to see what those guys
His
do.
brother was we talk about one of our sponsors, the Detroit Athletic Club Athlete of the Year Award. His brother was a nominee for that, and Kevin is actually. I'm not talking out of school. He's applied for the award. He's going to have a good chance at being nominated for Male Athlete of the Year as well, because I know he's expected to have a great senior state meet swim. And who knows, he could win a couple more championships before he's said and done. And for those who are swim fans and want to know, you mentioned his. As I'm talking, I'm trying to verbally remember what his brother's first name was, and I totally can't do it, which is on me. I think it was with a K too, but I can't remember. But you said he's been killing it at Alabama, huh?
Yeah, he has the fastest time in the entire country right now.
Holy smoke. In what?
Yeah, Derek Moss out of Alabama right now.
Derek,
Yep.
that's it. Yeah, yeah. It was in what race was it?
The 100 breaststroke.
Oh, the 100 breast. Okay, so just like
Anybody out there, we use Swim Cloud to post all our times, and they handle all the college races too. So swim fans out there can go check that out and do some neat stuff and see how those guys are doing. But yeah. Again, strong swim family. We've talked about that a little bit this year with some of our guests, and that's another one that you can
always
see it. So,
awesome. It's always awesome to hear, and I try to always, whenever we can, inject it as to what our former all-stars, if you want to call them that, are doing at the next level. Because it's especially when they're not local and we don't know about it, and especially in a sport like swimming, which just doesn't, let's face it, get the pub that other sports do. When somebody is doing something like that, we usually don't hear about them until they're all of a sudden wearing red, white, and blue on the Olympic team or something, So good for him. Good for him. We'll see. I wonder where
really
I haven't met Kevin, so I'm wondering where he will be swimming in college.
Let me see. We can pull stuff up here while we're talking.
Something called the internet, which
I know it's an amazing tool. Yeah, I tell
really
my kids
is.
every week, you guys got the greatest tool ever invented. So,
oh my goodness!
I tell you, on Kevin's profile, he's got U of M hat and a U of M sweatshirt. So I think that speaks volumes about where his plans are for next year. So
he'll be staying local. All right. Yep. I think it's fun to speculate. Is there a dark horse in Division I?
We were talking about this a little bit. I shared some new notes with you. I don't know if there's a sleeper. I think Celine did an awesome job at conference meet. If Todd Brunny can do some damage, his team will definitely be in that mix. And Rich at Northville is a terrific coach. He's been working with those kids for a long time. He's going to get the best out of them. So that race for 2 through 5 is going to be fun. and we've had some of those guys on this year.
Yeah, we have.
Dave Smith from Dakota was on. Again, a lot of people don't expect much from an East Side school, but watch out, they'll be in there. And Steve Boyer and the guys from Holland West Ottawa, they're going to do some great stuff. They've had some great athletes along the way. Real strong feeder program. So I think that race for 2 through 5 is going to be fun, just to see who hops up. Somebody that maybe we've been thinking that's going to be 3rd, 4th, 5th, maybe even 6th, they might jump up there in the mix. So it'll be fun. Got to give a shout out to our Bloomfield boys. The Gia brothers have been doing a great job. They had a real strong league performance. They might squeak in their top 10, get some good times out of them. But I'm looking forward to that 2 through 5 race to see who's going to be in there at the end.
All right. Before we get to Division II, I just want to mention again about the Detroit Athletic Club Foundation's Male and Female Athlete of the Year Awards. The registration deadline, meaning the application deadline, we have extended it. So while we've got a great number that have come in this week of applications, we are going to extend it through March 25th. So this gives an opportunity for people who have not applied but are interested in applying to do so. I know I've been reaching out to those of the world like Fenton and Gracie Olson and some of those swimmers to get their applications in, and now you have a little bit more time to do that. So do it. What you do, you go to dacathleteoftheyear.com. That's the website. The application is right there. Download it, fill it out, and get it in, because if you do not apply, you can't be nominated. And there are some cases, there's always cases of athletes who are like, man, we'd love to have an opportunity to nominate this particular person, but we can't because they didn't apply. So no excuses. You actually have more time now to get it done. And it's really fabulous. And we will have actually a breakfast for you guys. You come down to the DAC where we kind of announce all of our nominees, and they treat you really well. You get a chance to see the facility, which is outstanding. If you've never seen it, it's a well over 100-year-old building, and it's got a lot of history there. And it's where a lot of incredible world-famous athletes have, got their start and participated in every day. So anyway, bottom line is we'll celebrate you. And this is a senior award, so you need to be a senior and just at least have had a 3.0 GPA and at least have done some community service, something along those lines, which a lot of people have done in their schooling anyway, kind of been a leader on your team. And we're just looking for those athletes who are at the upper end. So if you're a first-team all-state athlete, you've projected to maybe be so in your winter sport now or in the spring, you certainly are welcome to apply. So we'd like to see you in. All right, let's get to Division II, and that is where both David and I will be. That is Oakland University. I will be filming the event for state champs, and you will be there representing MISCA and doing all kinds of things, and we're hoping to do, hopefully we can, if we get things organized, we can do a podcast from there and then put it out later in the week. So what's up with Division II? Who are the favorites?
This one's probably the most wide open. I was actually talking to a dad this afternoon. His son swims D2, and again, don't want to give away anything, but right. They're projecting. This might come down to that last race. This might be a 400 freestyle relay. First one with their hand on the wall is going to be state champ. And I think we've seen that most of the year. I think there's a little bit of depth in a team like Grosse Pointe South. John Fodell is doing a really good job with those guys, and they've really bought into that program the last few years, and he continues to bring both men and women's programs up to some new levels. So I think they've got some good depth that's going to help them out. You don't really see them at the very top of a top times list right now, but if you just scroll down just a bit, you see 2-3 of those Grosse Pointe South names. So I think that's going to bode well for them here next week.
Yeah, and how many times, especially in the girls' side of things, where you've got teams that win the state championship that did not win a single race.
Yep. Yeah, and I think that's going to kind of be in there in that mix for Grosse Pointe South. Yeah, if you can score 2 or 3 people, top 8 or somebody top 8 and somebody top 16. That can outscore that one swimmer that might win an event. So
yeah, get some diving points on top of that, and boom, put you over the top.
Yeah, and I mean Grosse Pointe South. That's one of the events. They got the top performers is diving
Okay.
right now.
Okay.
We'll talk about that here in a second, but
Okay.
that's gonna be huge for them. Another team I think that really made some big improvements was Skyline, Ann Arbor Skyline, coming out of that SEC league meet. They posted some of the fastest times in the state this year. We were getting coaches texting us from that meet, and just super impressed with some of these relay splits. Kids splitting 19 seconds on the back of a 2 free relay or 2 medley relay. It was impressive. So Skyline really moved up at league meet, and you hold on to that taper now, that point where we're resting and letting those muscles grow and get ready and prep, and they're going to have a lights out meet, I think. The big one from the east side that we've been watching all year is Stony Creek. Erica Thomas, coaching these kids up since they were young with club and now all the way through high school, had a very impressive Oakland County meet and won their first ever Oakland County meet, and then turned around at the OA Red meet and they win that meet, with teams like, Groves and Seaholm that have been ahead of them all year long. And it's that full body of work. These kids really put in the time and bought into Erica's program, and they won the OA Red. And right now they've jumped up quite a bit in the mix for D2. So watch out. I'd say they're probably the surprise team, or that sleeper team that you might see sneak up here, at the meet. So that'll be exciting for sure. And just some of the notable swims that we've been talking about and watching all year long. Neat one, we've got Evan McCleavely and Matt Lee. They're both out of Skyline. Real impressive sprinters. Watch out for these guys. They could go on any one of the 3 relays, and of course they're going to probably be on 2 of those relays plus 2 individual events. And it's just going to pack a nice 1-2 punch if Skyline decides to put both of them in the same relays, or if they split them up to really try to score all 3 of those relays. I think that's going to be helpful for Skyline. But great sprinters. Both those young men had great league meets, and you've seen them kind of climbing the ranks the last few years. So it's been great. One young man that we had on last year on the podcast was Drew Collins. Impressive backstroker, still undecided on college. Spoke to his dad just a couple days ago last week. Still looking around trying to figure out what he wants to do. But somebody who won the backstroke last year, he was on the dream team last year, and he was 6th in 200 free, or he currently is 6th in 200 free. He swam the 200 free last year at state meet, but he's got a good IM time too. So, with a team battle that's wide open like it's going to be, I'm sure Drew Edson, the head coach, is probably sitting there trying to figure out where Drew Collins can go. They won that medley relay last year at state meet. They're down a little bit, and I don't mean like talent-wise, but they're down in the rankings a little bit in that medley relay. So I'm sure they're looking at those combinations right now. And then, does Drew get out of the 200 medley relay and go right into the 2 free like he did last year? Does he get a little bit of rest and go in the IM? Or maybe the Drews have a plan to just surprise us with a totally different event. And Drew Collins is a very versatile swimmer. I think you're going to see some great swims out of him as well. So looking forward to that. Should be exciting.
I think I think U of D feels that they're going to be in the mix when it comes.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. And I've talked to Drew Edson a little bit over the last couple of weeks, and you and I are recording right now tomorrow. On the 4th of March, Catholic League meet gets going. It's one of the last league meets to wrap it up. So I know they're going to put together a kind of a dry rehearsal probably for some relays and some events. So take a look at those results and we'll kind of see from there. So yeah, they're definitely looking forward to making a run at a state title. So a couple other guys I've got in, just a couple of Grosse Pointe South athletes. Drew Vandeput, he's a senior. He's got a top 200 IM time and a top 10 time in the 100 breaststroke. So, some really good swims last year as well. He's their only top swimmer. We were just talking about that depth and how they've got a couple swimmers, down in, maybe 3rd through like 16th. He's their one top swimmer there. And they're going to rely on that depth, though, of the rest of those athletes to move along. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Drew, in the 200 IM, but, he's got some other good races too. He might jump in and go after. And don't want to go too far without mentioning the divers. It's such a critical piece. Some programs don't have a single diver, and then you get some programs that have a lot of divers. And when you're fortunate to get a good, talented diver that's really made that commitment, like Grosse Pointe has with Logan Hepner, watch out. Should be a fun diving meet. diving regionals are actually going on right now while you and I are talking. They're
Right.
warming up. My phone's blowing up with people telling me what's going on at the 9 regional meets right now. But Logan, and then you got Grayson Davis out of Seaholm. Those two are going to be going after it, all 11 dives. And diving's so unique. You gotta pick. Where do you put your voluntaries? Where do you put this dive and that dive? So you might see one of these guys, get way out there with some of their better dives, but then somebody might, depending on how they strategize, they might have some dives later in the meet. But those two are going to be a lot of fun to watch at the D2 meet next week. So you and I will have a great opportunity to see two real good performances out of two of the best divers in the state.
All right. And I don't think you mentioned it, but do you have somebody who, you've mentioned so many teams, so really there really isn't a dark horse. It could just, like you said, it could just come down to the last meet or the last race.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a coin flip. It's gonna be fun. I'll try to keep the scores going on my heat sheet while you and I are hanging out on Saturday. But it's gonna be fun, and I think for us to if we got the cameras rolling while we're there to watch the reactions of these coaches, because it's gonna be fun to see that one kid sneak up a spot. It's gonna be exciting to watch at Oakland next week.
Fantastic. Hey, guys, we've got one more division to go, but one more sponsor to mention, and that is the Goodman Acker Law Firm. During the most difficult times of your life, at Goodman Acker, you work with the same attorney and team the entire length of your case. They fight for you just like they would a member of their own family. Experienced, ethical, aggressive. Mention you heard about Goodman Acker on State Champs. They will provide you with a free assessment of your case. Goodman Acker, good decision. Call 1-800-TRUSTED. Once again, we thank all of our partners in supporting the Poolside podcast. All right, one more division to go, and that's going to be back on the west side of the state. It's going to be at Calvin University. And again, we have a powerhouse kind of expected to do very well.
Yeah, EGR. What else can you say? Butch Briggs has just built a dominant program out there. And they've been at the top of the list for us all year long. Definitely, you always expect that out of Butch's teams. But in the last few weeks, you've seen a couple other teams climb up there. Your Grand Rapids Christian, Grand Rapids Catholic Central. So watch out for some of those guys. Even Pinckney, can see some teams climb up there. But again, I think EGR has set themselves up very well this year. With a very balanced lineup, some strong relays, some good diving, and they're definitely in the front seat to grab a win here at the D3 state meet. And Calvin has been a new site for us the last couple of years, and kids are really excited to head out to that program and see that pool. Coach Gelderloos and the entire group there have been doing a wonderful job hosting. So I want to make sure we give a hats off to them, and as they're fairly new to hosting that meet. They've made it a special place to race and a fast place to race. The divers look forward to the boards, and the coaches look forward to just well-run meet and just a good environment. So I know those guys are geeked to get out to that pool. So, but yeah, as I'm looking down this, you got a lot of strong swims out of EGR, tons of depth. They got kids up in the top 3. They got kids 8th through 16th. They're going to score a lot of points, but the couple of swimmers that really stood out to me this year are the two guys out of Pinckney, Tyler Ray and Eric Belang, two great butterflyers, and Tyler's the fastest butterflyer in the whole state. All right, wow. He's D3 swimmer. Sometimes you expect your D1 swimmers to be up there, but this young man has really done an awesome job. Wow. He was 8th last year in state meet and has just put in a great body of work over the last year, and just been having a lot of fun racing. And looking forward to seeing him race in the 100 fly. He is committed to U of M for next year. And his teammate, Eric, is number 3 in the whole state. So you got 200 butterflyers from the same school, top 3. But when you look at just the Division III rankings, they're 1-2. So It should be a lot of fun. I don't know if they'll go after that 1-2 punch. I'm sure that'd be a lot of fun for them as a team. And I don't know if they'll split it up and try to pick up some points elsewhere. But watch out for the 100 fly at D3. Should be pretty exciting to watch.
And it's great that Pinckney, who you would not think of as a swim powerhouse or I think that's awesome. That you've got just some kids, and that's one of the thing about high school. Every once in a while you cycle through a generation that for whatever reason, you've got a couple just outstanding stars that in a sport like swimming put you on the map.
Yep. I mean, you saw that back in the day, like in Alma. They'd sneak up
Right.
there, they'd win a state title. Maybe a
Right.
couple times I think they won back to back, and then they'd kind of drift back. And then
Right.
6, 7 years later, you get another group of kids that come up. So yeah, it's exciting to see that. And I'm sure those guys have some great stories about growing up and swimming together and being in classes together, and
Right.
just hey, let's go do the greatest thing we can and represent our school and bring some great things back. So yeah, it's really cool to see. Um, a few other swimmers that we saw, Andrew Dobrzanski out of Milan. I believe he's heading west for school next year in college, but returning state champion, 100 breaststroke. Had some real impressive breaststroke times early on, and then we've seen him throughout the season kind of bounce around in some different events. Right now he's second fastest in the 100 breaststroke behind Ethan Schaub out of Cranbrook. And Ethan had a really, really impressive 100 breaststroke swim at the Oakland County Championships, broke the county record. And again,
Wow.
for the fans at home, you remember, the 100 breaststroke record, the state record stood, it was a 1981 record, and it stood until, 2000, mid 2000, 2013 maybe. And I'm sure my buddies are going to text me here as soon as they
Yeah.
hear our podcast and bust my chops. But that record held for so long. And Ethan's time at the Oakland County Championships is faster than what that state record was for 20, 30 years. So
Wow.
Ethan's a real impressive swimmer. And I think, if Andrew's going to go after that breaststroke, which I guess he would, I think he would, the two of them are going to have a just lights out swim. It's the last individual event of the day. I think you're going to see a lot of great racing out of those two. So Andrew also, won the IM last year from Milan. And, Dan Heike is another one of those coaches that just gets great results out of his kids. Born and raised in Milan. I had the privilege of swimming with him at Eastern Michigan.
Yeah.
He is a true leader. He embodies all the great stuff about high school swimming, and the kids buy into it. They believe in it, and he's going to get some great swims. I know Andrew, is one of those leaders that's going to lead the way for the Milan Big Red there. So looking forward to it. Should be pretty fun. Couple sprinters that you see popping up there this year. Charles Brown out of Spring Lake. We talked about him earlier in the year. We highlighted that dual meet with them in EGR.
Yeah.
And lights out. I mean, just posted some of the fastest times in the 50 this year. Again, as you think back, all of us that swam and have been watching those times, your Rafi Carpathians and, some of Chris Sullivans and some of those great sprinters from back in the day, Eric Matuzak and those guys. You didn't see too many 20-point 50 freestyles in season at a dual meet. This was a league meet, and most of the time it was a state meet kind of thing. This kid's going 20-point, like it's nobody's business. So he's doing this in little shallow 6-lane pools at a dual meet. And I think you're going to see some great swims out of him, 50 free, just grip it, rip it, and go. So watch out for him in the 50. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then diving, another one, I think EGR strong suit. They've had some consistent diving coaches, a really strong diving program where kids are, diving from an early age and getting a lot of great experience. Charlie Baer, we highlighted earlier in the season, broke a EGR school record. And this young man's been posting some of the best diving scores all year long. So finished 8th last year, but he's been holding one of the top times across the board in the whole state, all the schools. So watch out for him there in the middle of the meet next week at Calvin. So yeah, EGR, a lot of good strong schools out of the west side. And don't be surprised to see a team like Hamilton pop up there.
You
Dave
even
Eichenhorn,
mentioned you wrote Holland. You wrote Holland Christian also might be one of those ones.
Yeah, that right now, a team like Holland Christian, they had some good swims at their league meet, and if you look at the like the aggregate scores that Swim Cloud puts out, they've got them sneaking up in a couple spots and inching closer to EGR in some spots, so it should be pretty fun. But yeah, like you said, D3, you got some of those smaller schools, don't have a ton of kids in the building. You get one or two good athletes, maybe you get a good relay. It makes it a fun meet. So get ready for some exciting swims at Calvin next week.
All right, guys. Well, that's it. That's your preview for the state finals. Once again, we're really looking forward to wrapping up the season, and so thankful we were able to get a full season. I'm sure the seniors are just elated that everything has gone the way it is, and I'm sure that they're all going to be super fired up and ready to go and just close out their career on the highest note possible. And I think we're going to see some favorites do what they do, and we'll be impressed by that. I think we'll see some maybe some youngsters sneak up, who maybe weren't on the radar, just maybe due to circumstances, that have taken place the last couple years, and then I think we're also going to see, and I hope we see more of those, just really depth of teams make it go all the way down to the wire. So that you're getting towards that final meet, and teams, the top three are up in the air, as you get to the last couple races and see how things work out. So, all right, well, David and I will be back next week with the final episode of the Poolside podcast. Whether we are live from D2 or we do something afterwards, we'll figure that out. But remember, you can either watch or listen to the Poolside podcast. The video's updated weekly on our website, social media, and State Champs TV YouTube channel. You can listen to the audio podcast by going to Spreaker.com or simply by searching State Champs Sports, or listen to it just on whatever platform it is that you prefer. I do want to mention, too, that David usually is so generous with his time, where we have our swim state final show, our video show, our kind of recap show that we do here at State Champs for boys swimming. Hopefully you'll be able to participate in that, and then you'll get kind of more in-depth analysis of really what took place as a whole on the state at the state finals. So this show's up. Yeah, thank you. This show's uploaded on Wednesdays. So I want to thank our sponsors, Lawrence Technological University, the Michigan High School Athletic Association, DMC Sports Medicine and Physical Therapy Team, and the Goodman Acker Law Firm, along with the Michigan Army National Guard. So for David Zulkiewski, I'm Lorne Plant. We'll see you next Wednesday with the final show of the year. Be well.